Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe begins with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Liam Neeson is Marlowe, and Consecration.
This isn't peach, this is... My mouth is full of oil!
And Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill star in the Netflix comedy, You People. That's today on The King's Corner. What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of The King's Corner, where first we're going to be talking about Marvel Studios' next film, the first film of the Phase 5 in the multiverse saga. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. This movie has been getting very diverse reviews, which is a surprising thing to me. Not, many films come across in the MCU that are splitting audiences. Usually they're on one side or the other. So where do I fall on the board with this one? I fall on the side of the coin that loves this movie. I'll be honest with you. This is the best MCU film since Spider-Man No Way Home. Introducing Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. Not really introducing him. He was at the end of the Loki series, so now we get to see a different variant of Kang who has been in the quantum realm. This is a non-spoiler review, so don't worry about it. But the family, Paul Rudd, and Evangeline Lilly, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Michael Douglas, and the new cast member, Kathryn Newton, who now plays the teenage Cassie Lang, they all get sucked into the quantum realm, and they got to get out. And as they want to get out, they encounter Kang the Conqueror. So I loved this film. I think that the pacing is great. Overall, I think this is a really well-paced movie. The first act, I would say, really flies by. The first 15, 20 minutes of it, you are in instantly. And I really appreciated that. I love the progression of Scott Lang and his character. After Avengers Endgame, he is taking credit for saving the world. And really, he should, because if it wasn't for him, no one, I don't think, would be saved. So thanks to Scott Lang, he writes a book, and he's kind of full of himself. But he doesn't really show it. He's walking down the street, he's waving to people, he feels good, he feels special. But that's all he's really doing with his life, and his daughter calls him out on it. So he's going through that, and he's got that mindset as he goes into the quantum realm. The rest of the family, Michael Douglas is great in the movie. Michelle Pfeiffer, she steals the film up until Jonathan Majors comes on as Kang. Those two, I think, steal the movie. Evangeline Lilly is very good as the Wasp. She doesn't have as much important stuff to do. Her character isn't really thrown into the importance of the story or the arcs of the story. In a way it does, but the mother-daughter relationship between Hope and Janet. So I like the back and forth. I really like the family dynamic between the two families, between the Van Dynes and the Langs. I really appreciated that. Kathryn Newton is this character she's been getting into trouble, but she always wants to do the right thing, but she just might go about it the wrong way, gets herself in trouble. And, I like that. I like that dynamic between the two of them. And you see more of that in the quantum realm, how there's certain people that need to be saved, rescued. She wants to jump in. She wants to help out. And I appreciate that. It makes Paul Rudd's character be even a better person, and their dynamic really works. And Kathryn Newton's fantastic. This is probably her best performance so far, and I can't wait to see her continue the role in the MCU. But Jonathan Majors, when Kang comes on the screen, there is such a power that he has. And when he speaks, it is powerful. He is right up there with Thanos as like the best MCU villain, along with like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. He's fantastic in this movie. Every scene he's in, he steals it. And I can't wait to see more Jonathan Majors in the MCU. All of this is leading to Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars. This is the introduction to Phase 5 as well as it is the third film in an Ant-Man series, and I thought it pulled all that off very well. Some people look. The guy that works at the movie theater we talked to after it ended, he didn't really like it as much. I was a little surprised by that, but he made valid points. So I just think things are going to work for you, or they're not going to work with you, as they do with every film. But since this is a bigger movie, I think it's going to lead to bigger conversation. But a lot of it worked for me. I mean, things that didn't work, I think there's a 15 to 20-minute chunk of the film that does slow down a little bit. It seems as soon as we get to the quantum realm, to the point where we do meet Kang, um, that part of the movie does slow down a little bit, and that is included with the Bill Murray stuff, um, which I thought he could have been played by anybody, and it would have been fine. You know, it's just fun to kind of have Bill Murray in the role. He's good for what it is, but overall, it's a throwaway character. Um, so that stuff didn't really work, and some of the CGI, like 5% of the CGI, is slightly off, I guess, but overall, this is a visually stunning film. I think this is one of the most beautiful looking MCU film, VFX wise. And finally, one of the last things I want to talk about is MODOK. No spoilers on the character, but you know, he really works for me. When we see him, when we find out what he is, who he is, you know, his whole arc, I thought was I thought it was just really sweet, strangely enough, and I don't know, I really liked it. I liked the humor there. I liked the effects actually did work for me. I thought it was entertaining. They poke at the effects throughout the film of this big face, you know, behind this helmet. So I was into that. Other than that 15-minute chunk, the Bill Murray stuff, the rest of the story, the way it was paced, worked for me. This something happens towards the end. It has to do with ants that Michael Douglas starts to talk about. You know, that felt kind of like shoehorned in. It's like, okay, this is an Ant-Man movie, so let's do some stuff with ants. That felt a little okay. I get why it's in there. Not great. But I mean, I loved this movie. I think it's the best MCU film since No Way Home. Um, it's really good. I personally loved it, and this is a film I could sit down and just rewatch because you know overall the entertainment value is there, and it's deep too. I mean the story, what's going on, the setup to Phase 5, what's going to happen. Really loved it. Stick around for the credits. There are two credit scenes. The first one, some people think it's a little hokey. At first glance, yes, but thinking about it, makes sense, and I'm very excited. Uh, Post credit scene or after credit scene, the second credit scene is better than the first one. I think it is a total setup of something that we're going to see in the future, which I'm very excited about. So really love the credits. This is one of the best 1-2 banger credit sequences that the MCU has given us so far. So overall, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, loved it. Not a lot to say badly about it. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And yeah, like I said, I might be on the other side of the coin on this one, but hey, some things just really work for some people and don't work for others. So also, the quantum realm did give me vibes of this film, Strange World, that not a lot of people saw, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit here. Next, we're talking about Marlowe. Liam Neeson is a detective in this little noir film taking place in the late 1930s. I believe it's 1939, somewhere around there. He's a detective. Something goes wrong. There's a murder. Is the person really dead? Diane Kruger comes in. She wants answers. So guess what? He goes on a trail and he starts sniffing through. And that's the film. This movie is exactly that, and it is extremely well made. I think the cinematography, the production design, this movie feels like you're in that time era. Liam Neeson is incredible. I think he gives one of his best performances of his career. It's a more subdued performance, but he's great. Um, you know, the film is not extremely entertaining, but it has that entertainment value that lingers throughout. and you're always just kind of into it. I was feeling very invested into it because I think the time period, the way they made it, it felt very investing, and I was just into it. This is a film that kind of cast a spell, and I was sucked into it. And this movie gave me exactly what it set out to give you. I don't think it's a great film. I think the story is fine for what it is. It's not as twisty as maybe you'd expect, or I don't think the screenplay is fantastic or anything, but it does accomplish what it sets out to accomplish. And I appreciated it. And this was a little surprise movie for me. That's probably going to fall right under the rug. That I don't think a lot of people even know it's coming out. I don't think the marketing was very good. But Marlowe is a 4 out of 5 star film. If you want to go see a little detective movie, uh, go check it out. I think it's worth a watch. Now let's talk about Consecration. Consecration? Is that what it's called? Or is it called Constipation? Because that's the feeling I had watching this movie. A very uncomfortable, disturbing feeling. And I, had the urge to get up, to try to have a bowel movement, important phone call, uh, maybe my leg fell asleep. I wanted to go wake it up. Um, just an excuse to get out of the auditorium because this is a film that is going to disappear like a fart in the wind. Consecration is diabolically terrible. And, where do I begin? Um, the performances, everybody is, they're acting like they're playing in like Schindler's List or something. I mean, the performances are so, I don't know, it just felt so over the top at times and never really subtle. And when they were trying to be subtle, it fails miserably because the screenplay never allows these people to be people. It is full of exposition. Um, and when there's no exposition, it's boring beyond belief. It's like the person who wrote this was just sucked down a bottle of NyQuil and now is writing this screenplay, and then maybe the last 10 pages or so they decided to shoot up with some heroin or something, and then they were high out of their mind just writing the end of the film because it just feels so uh ridiculous. And it goes in a direction to where you're baffled by what you're seeing. It could have worked. The concept here is not too bad. There's a hill that they go to, and they have to turn around and step backwards for each sin that they've committed. And if they fall off the cliff, they're basically committing suicide, and they're going to be caught by God. Or maybe they only committed a couple sins, so they're only taking a few steps back. I thought that was interesting, but what they do with it is really nothing, to be honest. And what they do with it is laughable. With something as interesting as that, they make it so convoluted, and the overall story with the Jenna Malone character is extremely convoluted, underwritten, but at the same time overwritten, where so much starts happening, and you're just watching it, even though you're not attached to it. Um, the film is directed like the director is on a bottle of NyQuil. I mean, the cinematographer is sleeping through the movie, and everybody's sleeping to the bank to get their paycheck. That's what this movie is, the ultimate paycheck. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Michael Rosen uh, memes or whatever when he's describing things. And as soon as the thing ended, I'm thinking there's a one where he goes, "Bleh," this isn't peach. This is thick cooking oil or something like that. Uh, which this movie was just, terrible. If you want to watch a horror film, horror, there's nothing scary or tension filled about this movie whatsoever. It is a poor excuse for any genre that it's trying to be. Drama, poor excuse for drama. This is a dollar store uh, movie. This is a movie that you find at the Family Dollar in the dollar section, which is at Family Dollar. So that's where you'll find this in the $5 bin. This is where it'll end up. But don't even buy it. Don't even waste $1 on it. I mean, donate $1 to the Red Cross or something, charity, whatever you want to do. This film does not deserve anybody's money. The people who made this should be ashamed of themselves. And Consecration is another goose egg. It's a 0 out of 5 star film. That's the second goose egg I gave this year, and I haven't given a goose egg in like a decade, maybe a little less, but still. I mean, it's been a long time, and this and Infinity Pool were just despicable. But guess what? I would rather watch Infinity Pool because it was just a little more entertaining than this film was. This film was like like the doctor was sucking all the blood out of your arm and you're just losing consciousness as you go. Uh, so, yeah. Next up, we're talking about You People. This is the Netflix movie that came out a couple weeks ago. Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill co-wrote the screenplay, which I thought was really interesting. And this is a comedy film that is about a interracial couple. Jonah Hill meets a woman. They really like each other. They finally are together. 6 months, a year goes by, whatever, and they haven't introduced each other to their families yet. So they say, it's time to do that, especially if they plan on getting married. So the girl's father is Eddie Murphy. He's very strict. The Jonah Hill's mother is Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is very open to what she's saying. She has no filter. She doesn't think. She's kind of an idiot. Um, and she kind of stole the movie for me. I think she was fantastic. This is probably one of the best roles I've ever seen Julia Louis-Dreyfus in. I even like her more in this than I do her Marvel role. She felt so real. Like I know mothers like this. I know people like this. I mean, this woman is a clueless lunatic, and she was great. Eddie Murphy, he's very subdued. He's quiet at first till the film continues to go on. He's got a little more to do. He's got a little more to say, a little more personality that comes out as the film progresses. And this is a really good performance from Eddie Murphy. Really enjoyed that, and all the performances I think are good. Jonah Hill is being Jonah Hill. He is being his character from This Is the End. He is being himself. He wrote it. He wrote it, so he's playing a version of himself. Um, and the film highly relies on the fact that this is an interracial couple meeting parents that um, have to cope with it and may not be a fan of it. And how's that going to happen? That's what the movie relies on. That's the emotional stakes of the film. Is really the message of it. Other than that, you don't really get emotionally connected. I think a lot of the jokes are okay. I don't think it's a laugh out loud movie. Some of the humor falls flat, but the chemistry also I don't think really works. Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy work okay together, but Jonah Hill and his girlfriend in the film, they just didn't seem like they fit. I just didn't feel these two as a couple. I don't know. I think they could have probably went with a few other acting choices for the screen test. I just don't know. I just didn't really feel a connection there. They just felt like, I don't know, more good friends than anything. He's got a podcast friend that he's with, who's his best friend. I think he had more chemistry with her than he did with this woman. The scene they meet is extremely strange, which it's supposed to be, but it also feels a little uncomfortable. It feels kind of forced. So the way they meet feels kind of forced. The way that the families come together feels kind of forced. So other than the message, the rest of it does seem kind of in your face, in your face, in your face, and it never really gives you time to breathe. Um, but it's an entertaining film. It's a fun film, very bright, very colorful. I enjoyed the cinematography. Some of the editing I thought was a little weird. Um, but overall, I'm kind of indifferent on it. I don't really like it that much, and I don't really dislike it that much. I feel very much like this as I felt to a movie called 80 for Brady that came out a week or two ago. Kind of right in the middle of the road. What would I rather watch? This or that? It's close. It's tight. That's how I'm feeling about it. So this is 3 out of 5 star movie for me, right in the middle of the road. So that's my thoughts on You People, and that's the reviews for the week. Let's go down memory lane real quick, and not really memory lane, but this is our physical media roundup segment where we talk about the new releases that came out this past week on physical media. The two big ones: Steven Spielberg's The Fablemans. I did a 4K Blu-ray unboxing of this, and I also showcased my entire Steven Spielberg movie collection on 4K and Blu-ray. Go check that video out. It's up on the channel now. The film looks really good on 4K. The score, everything. Uh, you really feel it. You really immerse into it. And this is a movie that I think has a real rewatchability to it. You get something new. I watched it again. You get something new from that. It's a great film. Wonderful direction, very powerful, and yeah, I just think it's one of Steven Spielberg's sweetest films, and maybe more relatable. I mean, depending on what kind of family you grew up in. So that's The Fablemans. Next up is the 4K Blu-ray steelbook of the film that bombed harder than Oppenheimer. It's Disney's Strange World. Uh, the movie bombed terribly. Didn't do good at the box office. The marketing I thought was terrible for the film. The trailers they put out marketed to be this black and white thing at first, and then it's this weird narration. Then when the other trailers started coming out, people are like, okay, what the hell is this? And it was just terribly marketed. I think you had to market that family dynamic. You don't really know what's going on in the trailers, but it is a family dynamic. The father, the son, the grandson, and that stuff really worked for me. I thought this movie did have the Disney magic, um, and I like the characters. Like this little blue guy, Splat, I think his name is. This the dog. I don't know. I like the characters. The third act I don't think is as good as the setup and the first 2 acts, but it still has that special Disney magic, and it's certainly no like Home on the Range or the dinosaur film they did. I mean, this is a better film than that, and it tanked. So if you want to pick it up, give it some support. Go watch it on Disney Plus. You know, maybe this film will find life later on, but I mean, it's not a bad movie. This is a good little film, and I do support it. So that's my thoughts on Strange World, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the King's Corner. Where next week you can expect reviews for, let's see, what comes out next week. The Cocaine Bear, I believe, is next week. Also, the film Emily, which is based off the book of Wuthering Heights. Something along those lines. That's going to be coming to my theater, so we're talking about that. And we'll see what other surprises come along the way. Those two, I think, are for sure, though. Don't forget to also subscribe for my Last of Us spoiler reviews. Every Sunday I post Monday I post a spoiler review for the episode that came out the night prior. So definitely come on back, check that. We've got the spoiler reviews for episodes 1 through 5 up now. And yeah, that's been it for me, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Ranking72, and Instagram and TikTok at King Arises 131. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the King's Corner, and until next time, over and out.